Okay, we are going to start applying what we know about solving multi-step equations to actual mathematical word problems so that you can start to see how we can write inequalities, I might have said equations, to real life problems. Let's take a look at our first problem. Remember to pause, make sure that you have the problem copied down because whatever we model, we want you to do on your paper. I'll read the problem through, and if you need to pause, go ahead and do that. Yellow cab charges a $1.55 fee in addition to 65 cents per mile. That's what they're charging you to be able to take a taxi cab ride. Allie has no more than $10. So she of course wants to know how far will that get her? How far can she travel?
We're going to start out just like we did with our other word problems and highlight or circle the important information. So I notice that no matter how far I go, I automatically have to pay a $1.55 fee, whether I go 2 miles or 2 blocks. In addition to that, as I travel, every time I go an additional mile, I have to pay 65 cents per mile. I want to think about what that means, Mrs. Armentrout. So if I was traveling 5 miles, how would I calculate that?
Well, per means like 1 for every mile. For every 1 mile, it would be 65 cents. And so if you were going 5 miles, we would need 65 cents and 65 cents and 65 cents and 65 cents and 65 cents. Well, gosh, if she goes 50 miles, that's going to take me, well, I don't even have enough fingers. So I know that this per mile means that I'm going to, repeated addition is multiplication, exactly.
All right, then it says Allie has no more than, those were those key words that we had to remember that represent an inequality. And then here's what she has, $10. So thinking about the taxi cab ride, she hops in, Allie automatically has to give the cab driver a $1.55. When she gets to her destination, she'll have an additional, so I'll show that by adding, a fee. She's going to be paying 65 cents. Now, we don't know how many miles Allie traveled, so we're just going to multiply it by our unknown amount of miles for right now.
And notice the question was, how far can she travel? So we have to think, when they're asking about travel, how do we measure how far we travel? And again, that's where we see up in our problem that we're using the word mile. Mrs. Lesh chose the variable m to stand for that.
Now she has $10 and I need to think about what this means. No more than. So this amount she's paying the taxi driver cannot exceed $10. It could be $10 or it might be $8 or $7 or $4, but it has to be less than that. So I am going to think it has to be less than that amount or it could be equal to my $10.
So after we have analyzed the words in the problem and applied them to a mathematical sentence, you will see what we have. $1.55 and 65 cents per mile cannot be more than, has to be less than or equal to the $10 she has in her pocket. Otherwise, the police might get involved.
We've already worked on solving multi-step inequalities, so we're going to go through these steps quickly because we understand them already. Remember, we're going to undo our addition first. I'm adding $1.55, so I'm going to add the opposite, which is negative 1 55/100. Oops, my 5's hardly lined up. I think I'm going to have you reach over this time.
All right, I can handle that. Luckily, you have your calculator. We should have thought of that. So I'm going to do some renaming here so that I can easily take $1.55 away from the $10. That's going to leave me with $8.45. Now, we have 65 cents times our variable. And that means to undo multiplication and find out what that mystery letter actually equals, we are going to divide both sides by 65 cents. All right, now I am going to go get my calculator.
Okay, using your calculator then, you are going to take your $8.45 and you are going to divide it by your 65 cents to come up with how many miles we will have left over here.
And it comes out evenly. You guys probably figured that out before I did. And so that comes out to 13, meaning that the number of miles can be no more than 13, or it can equal 13. Now remember that when we're solving word problems, we want to write a phrase that answers the question. So as you can see, Mrs. Lush is writing, Allie can travel no more than 13 miles.
Remember, we have more than one phrase we could substitute for this symbol, so I could have written Allie can travel 13 miles or less, or Allie can travel at most 13 miles.
All right, let's look at one more example. All right, now we have some negative numbers. We're going to go from the taxi cab to the ocean. A scuba diver is at an elevation of negative 38 feet. So we have to think what elevation means. And when we are measuring the height of where we are, we talk about sea level, and then we talk about above sea level, the elevation would be going up, and below sea level, the elevation would be going down. Well, it wouldn't make sense for a scuba diver to be going up in the air, climbing a mountain, so we're indicating negative 38 feet, meaning that scuba diver is beneath the level of the sea. Again, make sure that you copy this problem down completely so that when we mark it up, you can mark yours up. I'll continue reading. The diver starts moving at a rate of negative 12 feet per minute. Write and solve an inequality that represents how long it will take the diver to reach an elevation deeper than 200 feet. Let's mark our problem up first.
All right, I'm looking at this problem and I'm going to be moving the board in a moment and rewriting my highlighted material, which is our starting point, which is going to be negative 38 feet. It also says the diver is starting to move at a rate of negative 12 feet per minute.
There's that per again.
And then we are going to be solving to find out how long it will take the diver to reach an elevation, and then it says deeper than negative 200 feet. So that's not one of our key words. We're going to have to think about what it means. I would like to draw a picture. So here's our picture that has our information. We're going to have our water level here. And then let's talk about where we're starting at. Do you remember, Mrs. Armentrout?
I do. It's negative 38 feet.
Okay, so here's our diver down here. And then what else did we have?
Well, we knew that he is starting to dive at 12 feet per minute.
Those are my scuba fins.
That's nice. Let's draw a little tank. He should actually be going this way, though.
Oh, well.
The scuba fins should be up, but that's okay.
All right.
We'll
turn him around.
We'll turn him around. Okay. So if he is diving at a rate of 12 feet per minute, that means he started here and then started to go down below the sea at 12 feet per minute. That means every minute he is down another 12 feet. The down is represented with the negative. All right, now they are asking us how long. So in this particular situation, the M represents the time, minutes. And we want to know how long it's going to take this scuba diver to reach this depth, this elevation.
Or deeper than that.
Correct.
So writing it across so it looks like our equation, we're going to start at negative 38. we are going to be adding on negative 12 feet per minute.
And then we know that we are dealing with a depth of 200 or more. So let's think about what that means. I can't make this true if he's at negative 100 feet. It won't be true if he is at negative 199. It has to be this or deeper. So we have to think. If I make my sign go greater than and equal to, it could be 200, but it could also be 201, 250, 300, and it would follow what they're asking. Now I can double check. If I go less than, nope, less than negative 200, would it work? It wouldn't work. All right, so now we have our two steps, a negative 38 and negative 12 times m.
At this point, we're ready to solve our inequality. So I am multiplying by negative 12. I am adding negative 38. I'm going to start with my addition. Adding the opposite is positive 38.
I'll bring it over here.
Our opposites are eliminated. I am left with negative 12 times m is greater than or equal. Now I have to find the difference between these two. I have one negative, one positive. So I am going to...
You can use your calculator.
You can use your calculator.
And we're going to rename because our calculator is way over there. We're left with a negative 162. Yeah, no? Yep, we're good. Okay, and then we have a negative 12 times m. So, you know what that means. To get rid of a negative 12 times, we're going to divide by a negative 12, divide by a negative 12, and I'm going to circle that because I have a red alert. I'm dividing by a negative number, and if I divide or multiply, I have to switch the sign. So here I go. Negative 12 times negative 12 is going to cancel that out, so I have m is less than or equal to, oh darn it, we'll be prepared one of these days. Stop me if I'm doing it wrong. Good? Good. All right. So we're left with 13 and 6/12. If you did it on your calculator, it's going to look like 13.5. So let's go with that. I'm just going to move this down a little bit more so that it's easier to see. 13.5. And I have same sign, so it's positive. Now,
which is good because remember, we're looking for how many minutes, and so minutes should be a positive number.
So, how are we going to write our phrase so that we can give our answer? The question asks, how long will it take the diver to reach an elevation deeper than 200 feet?
So the diver will take
13 and a half minutes or 13.5 minutes. We need a label.
We're going to use no more than.
Okay.
13 and a half minutes.
Remember, there are other ways that we could say no more than. We could say it will take 13.5 minutes or less. Would that work?
That would be great.
All right, so there's a couple other options that you have available to you. All right, now your turn to try.